What's up, guys? This is the virtuosa Diana Perazzo, and you are listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
People walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Well, we are live, pals, and maybe this is becoming a new
We
thing,
did it
but
again.
we're together again. Welcome to another edition of the Bill After Seal of Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and this is the one and only Mojito Mike.
This isn't even the first time we've been together, like recently. Like we were just together. What was it? Sunday
night.
Sunday
This
night?
is the third time we've hung out together in a week.
It's weird.
This is
It's
so
weird.
weird. Yeah, we did some Destiny wrestling on Sunday, which was really awesome. Had a great time at the show. Getting to catch up with some people. Clay Wilson loved our Bengals jersey. Big hit there. We got some fun.
We've been the only ones in Bengals gear that night.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
right.
pretty cool. Yeah.
We got some fun stuff for the show here. By the way, speaking of show, this is our 150th episode.
Yeah, it is.
Shall we put one of our interviews in?
That's a great idea.
Oh, maybe we will.
That's a great idea. We if you go to YouTube, Steve, we have an interview with Steve Maclin.
Yeah.
That has not aired on the show proper yet.
Oh, let's put it in.
So we'll
Steve
put it in.
Maclin,
We'll put it in somewhere.
150th
Yeah,
episode.
There you go. There you
Great.
go. So we can.
How about wait? Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Mike had a fantastic conversation with somebody who we saw this past Sunday at Destiny Wrestling, Steve Maclin, and I think that we should play that interview for you right now.
It is time to tag them and bag them because we have, according to this very podcast, if you listen to our year-end show, the number 5 spot for the most impressive performer of 2022 and the number 1 guy to watch out for 2023. We are talking about the guy who just defeated Rich Swann in a brutal match at Hard to Kill. Please welcome Steve Maclin. Steve, thanks for being on the show today, man.
No, thanks for having me on. I didn't know it was on that list of, I don't know where the list is.
That was on our year-end show. So if you don't
Gotcha.
know, that's kind of our gimmick. We do lists every week. We do top 7 lists every week. One of our last show of the year in 22 is we ranked our top 7 favorite Impact, the people who made, no pun intended, an impact in 22, and you found yourself very high on that list, my friend. And you were, and among our listeners and ourselves, you were ranked number 1, just beating out Giselle Shaw to be the number 1 person to look out for, not in Impact, in professional wrestling in 2023. You made quite the spell in the last couple of years, especially since joining Impact in 2021. Is this something that you've done mentally? You came in and said, "Hey, I'm going to come out there and like you watch me," or is this just Steve Maclin being Steve Maclin?
This is me just being me, but also having a bit of a chip on my shoulder of how obviously from previous employer I was let go and I didn't really get the opportunity where I needed it, or it was there and I just didn't take advantage of it at the time. So things happen for a reason. And once I got to Impact Wrestling, it has been nothing but just giving me the ball and let me run with it. And I feel I take pride in what I do every day that I step foot in the ring. And that's the one thing is I want to do is be the best at what I do. And I think I've proven by beating all these former world champions this past year, and then even in 2021, of getting my name out there and people recognizing who I am and showing you that I'm not this forgotten son or this knight of the lone wolf. Like, here I am. Like, I am somebody that's there and I know what my worth is and I'm showing my worth and what my work is.
And it shows on television, man. Like, obviously, I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but when you turn that television light on, you exude confidence. Like there's I don't know where Steve the Man and Steve Maclin the character begins and ends, but that character alone, like there's this confidence. You can't train for that. When you come out there, nobody is ever second guessing, is Steve going to win this match? There's always no, Steve's probably going to win this match because of the confidence you come out with. And that's why I think you were the one to watch. Even people that don't watch Impact religiously I've talked to, and they've come up to me saying, hey, what about this Steve Maclin guy? You know, your name is, even the people who didn't watch NXT, didn't know you from before, they know you now. Is that something that really, does that compute with you?
Yeah, it's fun to kind of have fans more and more come up to me, and the more I see my shirts in the crowd, I appreciate the fan love. And that's the number one thing too, is you're trying to put out a product, at least I am, where as myself as the product of suspending disbelief and making people enjoy pro wrestling. And that's the one thing I hope everybody does that buys a ticket coming to Impact Wrestling, whether it was Hard to Kill in Atlanta or this week now going to be in Kissimmee in Florida. And then we have No Surrender coming up. And then we're going to be in Windsor for another pay-per-view. It's Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yeah.
And then we have Toronto for Rebellion was just announced. So it's like, no matter where we are, where we're going, I try to give my best day in and day out that I'm in that ring. And that's the one thing I love, is being able to be a pro wrestler and be a giant child for the rest of my life.
It's the only reason I do this podcast. It keeps me young, man. when you're 41, you got a bunch of kids and a dead end job. You know, you come home, you do this podcast, you're 17 again. It's got to kind of be the same thing with doing what you love doing, what you dreamed of doing, right? That's beautiful. I'm glad you brought up those two Toronto days, because I really wanted to talk to you about that. Canadian fans have been lucky enough, like myself, been lucky enough to see on the indie scene, up in this area recently. But since the last time Impact has been in Canada, that was 2019. You weren't with the company, so coming up to first Sacrifice in Windsor, and then of course Rebellion in Toronto. This will be your first Impact pay-per-views here in Canada. Is this just another town for you? Is there something special about Canada? Do you like? Is there something you like coming up here for?
Never really. I grew up a fan of Bret Hart growing up. So when the whole Attitude Era was going on with him and Stone Cold and even Shawn, I wanted to leave America and go to Canada to be part of the Hart Dungeon. I wanted like, that was my like little kid dream of like, oh, I'm going to grow up to be a pro wrestler and go to the Hart Dungeon. But I don't know, like maybe that's my only connection to Canada in that sense in wrestling. But for me, for storyline purposes right now, for the way things are working out, if I was to get my title shot, whether at Sacrifice or hopefully at Rebellion, one of those two pay-per-views against Josh Alexander, and to beat the longest reigning champion in Impact history in his home state or in his home country, would add another layer to my accomplishments.
I won't lie and say that that's not something we fans have been thinking about. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. It's not an if you're going to be getting in the ring with Josh Alexander this year. It's when are you getting in the ring with Josh Alexander this year? I think that's a very easy statement to make. From a personal standpoint, I mean, what's your thoughts when you're watching Josh Alexander in that ring? I mean, from going from now being the longest reigning Impact champion in history to having, I'd say, tied with only maybe you, having the best matches on the on the card throughout the whole year, doing an hour with Mike Bailey a few weeks ago. When you're sitting in the back and you're watching him go an hour with Mike Bailey, what's your thought process, knowing that eventually you're going to get in that ring?
Oh, just knows what I'm going up against. I think that's the best part about it, is I'm very unpredictable with what I'm going to do, and Josh is very predictable with what he's going to do. He adapts to his opponent, which kudos to him, but at the same time, he's never been in the ring with somebody like me. And here you have two of the best. You have the longest reigning Impact World Champion of all time versus probably, I don't know, I guess the best up and coming in Impact history to go towards the title. And we both vie that we're the best in this company. And for it to be for the Impact World title at some point, I think that's the biggest matchup in history in a long time, where you finally have that match that is about the Impact World title that means the most in this company.
I want to switch gears really quick. Talk about you personally a little bit. Your military background is obviously a huge part of who you are, both in and out of the ring. We've seen that in your character. We've seen that come out quite a bit. Is there something, or there things that you learned as a Marine, or something you've taken as your time as a Marine that you've applied to your career as a professional wrestler?
Yeah, I would say more of less like the camaraderie in the locker room is very much like it is in a platoon in the barracks, hanging out with your buddies. You always try to pick somebody up and make them better than they are, just like we do in pro wrestling. Everything is a hurry up and wait game. You get to the venue, you wait around for creative, you find out what you're going to do, and then you got to wait around again. You get your plan down, and then the plans change, and then you have to adapt to it and figure it out on the go. And you kind of rely to those muscle memories of those basic fundamentals that you learn as a pro wrestler, just like you do in the Marine Corps. You learn those fundamentals for a reason, and that's what helps us excel in the ring and be able to perform the way that we do and fall back on. And then also, yeah, I don't know. Just I guess the hurry up and wait game is the biggest thing, but then also being able to just be adaptable is another reason.
Speaking of adapting, what was tougher, basic training or wrestling Tomohiro Ishii?
I'm gonna go with basic training, but Ishii was right up there with that too. So that's somebody I would love to at some point in New Japan get a rematch with. I would love to go back down that road and get back in the ring with him.
Now we consider ourselves very lucky. You were the first Impact star to be on this show in 2023, and which we're very proud of. But I'll tell you, the last Impact star that we had on this show in 2022 was your beautiful wife Deanna, who had amazing things to say about you. Of course, I just want to know. I've been like in my life, I have shared a job with significant others, and it's not always gone fantastically. How is this? Is there like a bond of professional wrestling that keeps you guys, that brought you guys together, or is there the kind of thing you guys go home and we don't talk about wrestling?
We talk about wrestling 24/7. We both love it. It's our passion. It's what we love outside of our normal life. Wrestling actually is our normal life. It's 24/7 and never stops, where everything, like I just had wrestling on this morning when I woke up, making breakfast and just coming up with ideas. Even last week before the pay-per-view, of watching different four-way matches or triple threat matches for her to like kind of figure out ideas. I'm like, oh, you can steal from here. Like, look at this, like how they did this. Maybe you can do that with them. And it's just, I don't know. It's funny when we get to work, we just both kind of go away from each other. Like we just see each other in passing and we treat it like we're at work and we're not constantly there. We'll say hi, hello every now and then. I'm like, hey, you doing okay? She's like, yeah, this. I'm like, oh, did you get cut for time? Or just the basics. And then you just kind of walk by each other. Then we see each other at night. So we treat it like we're at work and we don't really, I don't know, we're not the lovey-dovey couple like in front of everybody. And if we are, sorry, but that's us. But yeah, we just, I don't know. I think we just have a good relationship in that aspect of knowing when we're at work and when it's time to go to work and do what puts food on the table and keeps the roof over our heads.
I think that's really important, both for your job and your relationship, right? I think that's probably, you say you keep it separate, and I think I'm living proof that's hard to do. So if you guys are able to do that, man, kudos to you, because that's not an easy thing to do, and it shows that you both love this business, man. So I'm not surprised that you still talk about it at home, because how could you not when you two love that business as much as you do?
Yeah, even like last night, we're watching Monday Night Raw. We'll watch NXT tonight and some of the stuff from AEW on Dark, and then we'll watch it. Like, we watch everything on every week. So it's just, we like to know what's going on, what's out there. And plus we have friends everywhere and a lot of people that we are close friends. I like to watch on Mondays and Fridays that I've worked with and like to see the success that they're still having too. And it's fun to just see everybody just thriving in wrestling right now as a whole. Just because after COVID happened, wrestling, I felt like was one of those things where nobody had anywhere to go. So they tuned into wrestling. Mm-hmm. And then now it's like, I'm going to a wrestling show is the number one thing to do and get out there and go. Like we just had a sold out crowd at Hard to Kill. And hopefully we keep selling all ththese crowds out. And for what I know, Windsor's pretty much selling out already quick too for up in Canada. So
100%. We went to get our tickets and there was all like, the day of the VIP was gone. The
That's
front
awesome.
row was gone, within minutes. So it's, and I guarantee this coming Friday, I know tickets for Rebellion are going up. People get those fast. They're going to go fast. I was at the last Rebellion in 2019 and they did not last long. They go fast. Canadians love their Impact. We always have. I mean, it helps that there's a lot of Canadian stars on Impact. It helps that the big Scotty is one of ours. So
Team Canada.
exactly. That really helps for us. But, you know, since the inception of TNA, Canada's been behind Impact, and that hasn't changed in over 20 years. Speaking of that, actually, that brings me to my next question. This is something we've talked about a lot on this show. Impact is probably the most unique and exciting product out there today. It has been for a number of years now. Is it cool for you to stand back and watch the creative process, watch what goes on? Things like what they just did with Eric Young and Cody Deaner and stuff like that, stuff you don't see in any other company. Is it cool for you to be on the inside and seeing that stuff happen going, this is cool?
Yes. So the team we have in place with Robert and Jimmy and Scott, Tommy, Gail, freaking Lance Storm behind the scenes, just everybody that's there. And it's such an awesome feeling because they allow us to create our own. Like, so if they give us our matchup and ideas, they said, hey, this is what this, and this, we want this. And then you go about match, you make your match and whatnot, or you have an idea for a promo or a vignette or anything backstage. And it's always just bouncing ideas off each other because we want to make this product the best thing. And that's the one thing in place right now is the team that's behind the scenes creatively with Eric Tompkins and just everybody everybody behind the scenes is killing it. And that's the best part because everybody cares and want to put the best product out there. And that's what is making Impact Wrestling the best must-see wrestling right now as a show, as a whole. I don't think anybody can compete with us on that level of when you turn on Impact from start to finish, you're entertained in any way that you're looking for something, whether it's the knockouts, the X Division, if you want to watch Swinger being comedic in the back with Swinger's Dungeon, like just things like that. And that it just makes me love wrestling a lot more. And to see the creative process for everybody and the changes that people are making, it's great.
I want to bring this home. First of all, thank you so much for your time here today. And I'm going to bring this home with doing something a little fun. I can't take credit for this. This comes from one of our correspondents, let's call him on the show, a huge Impact fan. He comes on just to talk about Impact after every pay-per-view. And when I told him I was talking to you today, he sent me this and he wanted me to fit this in. And I love to end with this. It's a little game we're going to play, a little lightning round thing.
Okay.
We're going to call it Tag 'em or Bag 'em. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a series of two guys. And for each guy, you pick someone you want to align yourself with or someone you're leaving in the dust.
Okay.
So are we going to tag them or are we going to bag? And I'm not taking it easy on you, Steve, because I'm starting off with Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley.
That isn't easy. Oh, come on. There are a tag team, so can I tag them both?
Oh, now you're ruining my whole game here.
I'm sorry, because I love them both. I'll tag Shelley, bag Sabin, just because I want my rematch against Sabin.
There you go. Chris Harris or James Storm?
Tag Chris Harris, bag James Storm. Already beat him, so.
Kevin Nash or Scott Hall?
Oh, come on. Well, I'm going to go with the size difference. So I'll go with tag Big Daddy Cool, Kevin Nash, and then bag Scott Hall, even though I love the bad guy.
Now, I know you're a Jersey boy, so I'm going to do a couple with a Jersey theme here. You a big movie fan, Steve?
Yes.
We're doing Kevin Smith or Joe Dante?
Tag Kevin Smith.
Beautiful. Martin Brodeur or Patrick Waugh?
I'm not that big of a hockey fan, but Brodeur, I know. If you don't know who Brodeur is, even outside of being a hockey fan, tag Brodeur.
And last but not least, we're sticking with Jersey, and we're doing John Bon Jovi versus Glenn Danzig.
Oh, tag Bon Jovi, even though he now owns a Philly team.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
He does. Actually, you know what? So bag Bon Jovi. Yeah, we're bagging Bon Jovi.
Yeah, let's go with the misfit, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time here today, Steve. Everybody, please, for the love of God, tune in every Thursday night to see Steve Maclin on Impact on Access TV, Impact Plus, recently now brand new on DAZN. Lots of places to find this. You can't say you can't find Impact anymore. Everyone used to say, oh, they're hard to find. Bullshit. You can find Impact. You just need to do it. And you need to do it to watch Steve Maclin. So thank you so much, Steve. We appreciate your time here today.
No, thank you for having me on. And if you don't follow me at Steve Maclin on Instagram and Twitter. Shop Impact Deal, Steve Maclin Store, and Steve Maclin Store on Pro Wrestling Tees. And also, good luck to your Bengals and the rest of the playoffs, by the way.
Well, thank you, sir.
Let me tell you something about Steve Maclin. Number one, as you just noticed, he was a great interview. All right, loved the interview. He was really cool to me, both before and after we recorded. But seeing him at the show, you can tell me if you agree with me or not. It was like running into an old friend.
Yeah.
We talked to him off air, no cameras, no nothing. We just talked to him for about 20 minutes and just shooting the shit. We talked about football. We talked about wrestling. We made some jokes about what happened off the air of our interview. You know what I mean? It was just like running into an old friend. It was really cool. And even as he left, he goes, "I hope to run into you guys in Windsor." So, man, Steve Maclin, class act.
Yeah,
he might be one of my favorite guys I've ever interviewed.
I agree, and you did a great job with that interview. It's weird to have you do the Impact Wrestling media on your own
man.
without me. I was jealous.
I want everybody to understand something, and you're going to see this when one of our upcoming interviews happens. I think I'm a really good interviewer when we're a team. When it's just me and the wrestler, I get a little flustered, a little nervous. I think I held my own with Steve.
You did great with Steve. Yeah.
I'll blow the lid off this one. I got to interview Alan Angels at Destiny, and I may have fumbled a little bit there.
It's a strong word. You have a little trait that I've noticed, and it's just absolutely adorable. For the first question, you can tell that you're nervous, and you ramble like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Well, I don't think he thought so. I don't know if you noticed. I'm pretty sure I noticed. He just gave me this look like, the fuck? Like, I thought you guys were pros.
There's, I think, at one point when you were talking at the beginning, I was like, "Okay, Mike, ask a question."
Yeah. But I think I kind of picked it up from there. But oh man,
we also had a great opportunity to sit down with Santino Marella.
Man, that was fantastic.
What a great guy Santino was.
That was one of the hardest interviews that I've been part of, because I was behind the camera and I said, "I did Alan Angels. I wanted you to take this one." Do you know how hard it was for me not to just put down the camera and jump into the conversation? Because you like you guys were talking about so many things I wanted to say.
You know what else was hard for you?
Pressing record.
Hit the record button on the camera when we missed the first two questions.
Yeah.
Santino was so cool about it.
He was very cool.
I would like to sit down with him for a full hour.
Me too. He was, and you know what? I bet he would have if he didn't have things to do. For those who don't know, and we'll talk about this in a bit when we break down the show, but unfortunately, former Destiny World Champion Aiden Prince got injured at this show. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Santino was in a little bit of a hurry just because him and other people like Aaron Stevens and Emilio and they wanted to get out. They wanted to get to the hospital, make sure that Aiden was okay.
You know what was so cool about Santino though is that you would have never known that he was in a hurry. Like even when we were setting up, we were talking about the Royal Rumble match the night before, and he gave his thoughts on that, which was cool. And it was just overall such a great guy.
I was going to bring that up. That was so cool to me because it wasn't even like we brought it up. He was just, "Hey guys, did you happen to watch the Royal Rumble last night?" We're like, "Yeah."
Well, I think we'll just leave it at that. I don't think he wanted his opinions out there.
Well, you can say his opinions.
That's for us to know.
I wasn't
in your own podcast if you want to know.
The thing is, I was going to say how cool it was. It was like, well, this is what I think, and then he gave his opinions on some of the Cody Rhodes stuff, on the Rumble itself, the pay-per-view as a whole, some of the things that he liked and he didn't like. I loved it, and we didn't ask for that. He was talking to us like a couple fans.
What I really respected about that is he asked our opinion as well, which was, you know what I mean?
Yeah. When he said, and again, I'm not going to bring it up, but you know, did you guys happen to notice this? What do you think about that? Like Santino Marella, a man who's been in this business for fucking well over 20 years, you know, not just some dude either, you know, a guy who, let's just call him a bona fide star. Yes, he was a comedy gimmick, but he was a top player for a long time. Former Intercontinental champion, former US champion, former tag team champion, several times if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking with him tonight.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. Let's rip the bandage off. My list is going to be the top 7 underrated tag teams of all time, as challenged by Mike last week.
We figured it's our 150th show. Why not go back to the original concept of the show? And
that's what we figured. We didn't just stumble upon that when we realized 5 minutes ago that it was our 150th episode. I think that my list is absolutely terrible this week. I'll
be the judge of that.
I'm being hard on myself.
I will be the judge of that. Let me be hard on you.
Yeah, I just, between doing the second job, I'm working a lot of hours, and I didn't have the time. I couldn't find the time that I normally find to put the full research into this list that I wanted to do.
Take some time to fall into that groove when your lifestyle changes. I mean, shit, it's my daughter is 8 months old. I've been in school now for 5 months, and I'm still trying to find that groove. You know what I mean?
You said the word shit there too. That's the only time I have to prep my list right now. Thank God I take my 3 hours time in there, but
good thing you have shit lists.
Yeah, shitty list for sure.
I mean, especially if you ask Emilio Albi.
He hated my Rumble list. I'm off to a bad start this year.
Go into our archives and check out our list with of the top Royal Rumble performers.
My list was great.
I didn't think so. Emilio Albi didn't think so.
Steve Bourne thought my list was good.
Steve Bourne. And well, here's a good segue. Andrew Walsh, a very loyal listener of the show, he didn't think so.
Wow, Andrew Walsh.
And usually I say, if you don't like Tyler's lists, it's not that easy. Come on the show and do your own, see how it works. So Andrew's going to do that.
No, Andrew, you're out. You didn't like my list. You're out. I'll be coming live from the bowling alley at my work staff party next
Tyler
week.
here can't make it. Tyler can't make it next week, so we're bringing on a buddy of mine, a longtime listener of the show. Drew Walsh is coming on. We're going to talk some GCW.
Yeah.
Get ready. We're going to promote the Toronto show coming up and talk some of his favorite GCW stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
I'm excited for that as well. I have a lot of respect for Andrew. I've seen comments that you've shown me. I think I've spoken to him a couple of times as well. And super nice guy. So
he's done so many cool things for us. He got us that shout out from Warhorse a while back.
Yeah.
He recently got us a shout out. I don't know if we've used it yet.
Oh, we're gonna use it next week when he comes on.
Perfect. He got us a shout out from Effie. Very cool guy. I've strangely enough never met him in person. He shares a last name with me. I've never
Walsh.
The good Walsh. I've never met him in person. I happen to be friends with his wife, and he's a mutual friend of people like Danny and Adam and stuff like that, and that's how we know each other, but never face to face. So this is gonna be really cool. I can't wait to see him on Zoom next week, and then we'll be hanging out with him in Toronto.
Oh, nice.
He's coming down to Toronto in March for GCW.
I think we're also going to be hanging out with Mr. Van Landen on that show as well. I think we're getting the band together there.
So will that show be a barn burner?
I don't get it.
I do want to talk a little Rumble.
Yes.
But before we do that, I'd like to throw out some positive notes. I want to talk.
Before you do that, we forgot to announce who the next guest at Destiny is going to be.
Oh, we'll get there.
Oh, I thought we were done with Destiny.
No, we're not. That's why
we're done with you, Destiny.
Don't cut me off here because that's where we're going.
Oh.
I want to congratulate a couple people.
Me?
Not you.
Oh, I don't care.
I want to congratulate the current reigning, defending Destiny Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
Fight or Flight.
Excellent.
They may be a couple pieces of shit on camera, but they're two of the nicest guys we know. And Gabriel Fuerza, every time, Fuerza and Von Vertigo, they got the opportunity to put their titles up against one of the biggest tag teams ever.
One of the most underrated tag teams ever?
Possible. In the Motor City Machine Guns. And it was a fucking sue me, Taz. It was a banger of a match.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Taz.
I would personally like to say to both those guys, Vaughn and Fuerza, people we've gotten to know, pretty decently over the last year and a half. Just how proud we are of you guys. I said this to Fuerza after the match. I said, I hope you're really proud of yourself because you guys just stepped inside of the ring with one of the best tag teams in wrestling right now. and they look like they belong.
100%, and
That
that's
was awesome.
that's why they deserve a congratulations, because it wasn't just because they faced these guys. It's not just because Emilio thought that they were worth facing these guys. It's the fact that this match looked so natural. This match, they belonged in the ring with I'm going to say the greatest tag team in Impact history. I know some people are going to say there's a couple other teams you could talk about. I know this. I'm going to call them the greatest tag team in Impact history.
Wow. I have to think about that.
Hey, listen. I
What do you
listen.
think?
You could talk about Beer Money. You could talk about America's Most Wanted. You could talk about 3D. I get it. I'm going Motor City Machine Guns.
Huh. Interesting.
And Fight or Flight, Destroy, whatever you want to call them, they hung with those boys, and it was a great match.
It was a great match.
I can't wait until it hits in the next week or two. It'll be an IWTV.
Yes. I can't wait for that. You can check that out with Barry Wrestling on IWTV too.
Another thing, beautiful. Another thing we did see at that show, Aiden Prince put his title up against Steve Maclin. And in a fortunate series of events, Aiden, it's hard to say because he didn't botch a move. Nobody botched anything. It was a freak accident. He landed on both his feet after a jump, and something wrong happened.
Fibula.
He ended up breaking his fibula and dislocating his entire ankle. He'll be gone for a while. It's obvious there was an audible call. He knew what to do. He knew something was wrong, so he had to make a decision right there. And Steve Maclin won the match. Steve Maclin is your current, according to Emilio, and I hate this term, but Emilio's the man, so he's the interim Destiny World's Champion. I'm not a fan of shit like that, but I also don't own Destiny Wrestling, so Emilio's the man. So we have that to look forward to the next show. But speedy recovery to our boy Aiden, man. He's one of the best Ontario has to offer. And we just can't wait to see him back in the ring.
Absolutely.
He had great spirits leaving that ring too. He after Santino was trying to bide some time, let the paramedics do their job and shit, and he was talking to the fans, and then Aiden told him to hand him the mic as he's laying there getting treated on. He's talking to the fans. I thought that was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Hard to see, hard to watch it happen directly in front of you and I, like 6 feet in front of us. So very hard to see, but this as JR used to love to say, this ain't ballet. Shit happens. Aiden, you'll be back as soon as you're ready, and we can't wait to see you. Speaking of what could happen at the next show, there was a big announcement made at Destiny.
Oh, my brother, testify.
Devon Dudley will be. Is he Devon Dudley, or is he just Brother Devon?
No, Brother Ray. It was just Devon.
I don't know if he goes by Dudley. I don't know if WWE owns it. I don't know. Devon Dudley will be at Destiny next show, March 14th, 12, something like that. We'll get back to you.
I don't think I'm going to be at the next Destiny.
I know for a fact I won't be. We have Impact and GCW that month, so
kind of get that white heat.
Yeah, can't do Destiny, but we'll be there in spirit. We will be watching on IWTV. I promise you that. And if you love Devon Dudley, get yourself to Destiny. I will tell you this, even though we won't be there, you can be there, because we will be working on a contest in the next few weeks, and we'll be giving away 2 tickets to Destiny Wrestling in March.
Yeah, we've got a couple contests lined up as well. We have a signed photo of the main event from the last show with the Motor City Machine Guns and Fight or Fight.
Yeah, beautiful pictures. You did a great job on those, by the way.
Yes, I made those.
You got them. You got them all signed and everything, and that was great. And everybody was so happy to talk to you, and nobody rushed you at a line. It was great. Let's talk a little bit of Rumble before we go on to your list.
You know what I was really happy about, though, as to close out on the Destiny talk, is that when we were going into that show, I had said to you, and I'd said to our friend Brian Weiss, my goal of the show is to get our picture taken with the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship. Yeah, not even the champions. We did both.
Go to our Facebook page; it's there.
Yeah, I was very sneaky with Mike, and I said, Mike, listen, let's go get our picture taken with him. I'll pay the couple bucks for it or whatever. But you and I stand in the middle
Yeah.
of them and hold the belts up,
Yeah.
and then I can crop them out and we'll get a picture. Motor City. And Alex Shelley did not rush us.
Adam had a good comment because I shared that picture in the old Wrestling Media chat group. And Adam had a good comment and says, it was really cool of them to take that picture after you beat them for the Impact World Championships.
Yeah, it's a great picture. I'm really happy we got that.
Me too.
Maybe we'll sell them $5 each.
Yeah, why not?
Sign it for an extra $1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll sign these ones.
Yeah. Make a buck, brother. Okay, let's talk Royal Rumble. What do you think?
I gave the show a solid 7.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Both Rumbles. I give the men's Rumble about a 6 out of 10. Because it definitely wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the greatest. It was just okay. I think it did have some spots that I will be talking about for years. I think they made Walter look like a fucking star. I'm sorry, Gunther. They made him look like $1 million, which is very important, I think. Which is great. Predictable ending in Cody winning, but I'm okay with predictable sometimes.
Predictable's okay, yeah.
Yeah, predictable's not always a bad thing. I liked it in this situation. Now you and I disagree on this big time, but I'm sticking with it. I'm going to say it again. I give the women's Rumble a good 8 out of 10. I absolutely loved this Rumble, and it's possibly one of my top 3, if not top 1, favorite endings to a Royal Rumble.
I did love the ending.
The fucking finish was beautiful. I loved it.
I had a little bit of beef with the Rumbles.
I know you didn't like the similar booking.
Yeah, I thought the matches were fine. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that thinks that a Royal Rumble match is shit because there's no surprise entrances.
No,
I'm fine with that. We got Booker.
we got a few. I thought Michelle McCool coming out of the crowd was fun.
Apparently that was legit last minute too.
Yeah,
like that was like day of.
Wow,
that's what Booker said about his too. He got a text message on the kickoff show.
See,
but I think he was working.
Yeah, and me, I was just like, I'm not a Booker fan.
The thing that I didn't like though, I didn't like that they had Gunther go for so long and then immediately had Rhea Ripley go for so long.
I agree.
I don't think Rhea needed to go that long.
No.
I think that it would have been better for her to come in like 19, 20.
I think it's going to help out Gunther in the long run. Rhea didn't need that. No. Rhea's already red fucking hot.
Yes, mommy.
This storyline with Judgment Day has really done a lot for her. She didn't need that extra. Her winning the Rumble is enough.
Yep.
She didn't need the coast to coast thing at all.
No, I agree, and it just took away from Gunther as well.
And Gunther, and it's good to give that to Gunther because Gunther didn't win. So you give Gunther coast to coast and then have him lose. Great. Why did you have to give both to Rhea? It didn't need to happen.
I was talking with our friend Jonah the other day about the Royal Rumble, and him and I kind of agreed that too many people are running the gauntlet lately. Every year at the Rumble, multiple people are going 30 to 50 minutes.
Well, now we're like, what? She's the 4th person to win
from number 1 spot.
From number 1 spot.
I just like
I know it's almost in 40 years, but still, I think that's too many. Now I want to see, and that's not even including the guys who came in at number 2, or the people like Flair and others who came in at the number 3 spot, or the people came in number 1 and went all the way like Walter until the final 4.
Like
if you count all those people, it's too much.
Like Flair was the Royal Rumble record holder for over 10 years. You know what I mean? Before that, Rick Martel went 45 minutes in the Rumble in 91, and people talked about it for years.
Exactly.
Ted DiBiase, when he went 30 minutes in 90, people talked about that for a long time. Like
if it wasn't
like 30 minutes, it's like
if it wasn't for that Rumble by the numbers thing they play every year, nobody would even remember that Ray went the distance.
Yeah.
Or that had the record for the time and shit like that. No one would remember.
Do you think that it takes away from not the credibility of the Rumble, but the how it's supposed to be like this grueling match? Like, do you think it takes away from it doesn't protect the Rumble as much?
Because it shows that too many people.
Because everybody's going for like 30 minutes.
I think it hurts it a little bit. I mean, it also hurts it that in some years, like Shawn Michaels years, and the Rumble was only like 32 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
I think there's a balance to be had there. Like, and you know what though, it does show to the evolution of the talent. You know what I mean? That they're stronger competitors, better cardio. Like I get all that too.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this was like the longest Rumble ever.
Yeah, it would have been because Gunther broke the record, right? So it was the longest Rumble ever by 8 minutes.
Yeah. So which was fine. It didn't feel like that.
What
I'm glad they opened with it.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I mean, I like looking back on hindsight, they had to, because that angle that they closed the show with,
yes,
fantastic.
That's kind of what I said to Steve Bourne when he texted me. He's like, they're opening with Men's Rumble. I said, okay. I am very partial to them closing with a Rumble. Men's or women's, I don't care, as long as it closes on a big note. I like closing with that guy pointing at the fucking sign, you know what I mean, or the woman. But if they're gonna close with the championship match, it better be good, and it better be a hell of an ending.
And it was.
And they gave us a hell of an ending. They gave us a good match. KO and Roman had a really good match. It was a fun match. I enjoyed it. A lot of story being told, and then but the real story happened after the bell.
Do you think, for the first time in the history of our show, maybe that this bloodline and Sami Zayn thing, it probably has a chance to make back-to-back best of moments for the year? You know what I mean?
I mean, we're only in January, and
like,
it's already a runner for
depending on where they go for the next couple months here.
Yeah,
it could very well find its way back on the list. It's your list this year, and that's definitely 100% going to give you a run for your money.
We'll see where they go with it. It all depends, because they still have Elimination Chamber to do. They still have WrestleMania to do. Yes, now Cody's in the mix, but that doesn't mean that story has to be over.
John Pollock had some great fantasy booking that I want to run by here. I'm going to take credit actually. Who? John Pollock? No, I don't know. I made this up myself. No, he was talking about, where to go from here with everybody, and you're obviously going to get Sami and Roman at Elimination Chamber in Montreal, and Pollock thinks that you should keep Kevin Owens off of TV until that show, because Kevin Owens needs to be off TV to sell that beating, right?
Until Elimination Chamber, you mean?
And after the match,
you can't not book Kevin Owens on Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
Montreal, for fuck's sake.
I don't think he needs a match though.
In Montreal,
hear me out.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Here how it is theory, because I thought it was really good. You have Sami and Roman in Montreal. Obviously, Roman has to keep the belt, right?
Yeah.
So you do a post-match angle with Sami getting a beatdown, with KO making the save, and then you close the show with both of those guys. Huge pop in Montreal. KO is going to get a Steve Austin pop coming out to make the save.
I think you can still do that, but even with, like, he can fight fucking Jimmy earlier in the show.
Why? You get a bigger pop. Think about that moment of him, and then you have that Benoit and Eddie moment where they're standing in the ring in Montreal side by side, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think from a business standpoint. Like you
I think that's big. Sami and Roman are your business.
Yeah, I get it.
Right?
I know.
Right? Then
just the idea, if I still lived in Montreal and I was still going to shows in Montreal all the time, and I knew that they weren't booking Kevin Owens.
But if you still got him, what are you going to remember more? Sami or Kevin Owens against Jey Uso or Sol Siaki in a throwaway match?
Yeah, but your spot still can't happen.
Or Kevin, yeah, but it's going to be so much more impactful if he's off TV and makes his return there. But then what I really liked that Pollock said, and I was thinking about this, and the more that I thought about it, the more I liked it. He said, if you go to WrestleMania off of that angle, you've got Owens and Zayn against the Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't that main event tonight at WrestleMania?
I think there's better matches.
Like what?
Well, we don't know yet.
That story, though, if they keep that story hot.
Remember, there's a big possibility of seeing guys like Steve Austin and John Cena and several others coming.
John Cena and Austin Theory. That's what they're talking about. That ain't main event in WrestleMania.
You say that.
I think that would be terrible.
Well,
I don't think
they wouldn't do it.
I don't think Austin's doing a match this year.
I don't know about that.
I heard he might do a spot. I heard that they both turned down. I heard Rock and Austin both turned down.
Oh, see, I didn't. That's not what I heard about Austin. I heard Austin's been.
I heard they offered him. I heard they offered him big money for Roman and Brock, and he turned them both down. That's what I
Well-
was. That the dirt sheets,
Well,
of
because
course.
that's not. I don't. I see that Roman and Brock. That's he can't do that anymore.
No, he should.
His ma- his
He
ma-
could do Roman.
his ma- But
Not
why?
Brock.
But why?
Well, yeah.
You know, his match with Kevin, number one, made sense. Everything about it made sense. Um, except for Vince Russo made a good point of like the fact that it all started with him just shooting shit about Texas. Yeah, that was stupid. But
Yeah,
everything else, it made sense. The match, the style of match
perfect.
made sense. Everything was perfect about it. He can't go. Brock Lesnar?
No, that would be terrible.
Brock
Brock
Lesnar?
will, Brock will paralyze him.
No, that's so dumb. It wasn't going to work the night after the night before the King of the Ring. It's not going to now.
I
fuck.
personally, I love the idea of having Sammy and Kevin main event against the Usos. I think that it gives 4 fresh talents a WrestleMania main event
So you,
with the hottest angle in the company
so what,
and tag titles in the WrestleMania main event.
you're
It's
putting
proven.
you're putting uses back together. So you're saying you're thinking that Jimmy's just pulling the
I think Jimmy's torn and he's got to pick the family,
okay,
right?
sure, yeah.
But I think that there's the biggest money feud is Jimmy versus Sammy. I think that it's like so personal.
Jimmy versus Sammy. That's going to happen.
Yeah, but I think after Mania,
because Jimmy was the one on Sammy's side the whole time. Well, he was in the beginning. He was the only one who liked him.
No,
And then
no, Jay. Oh, sorry, Jay. Then I meant to say Jay. Jay and Sammy.
because Jay was against him the whole time.
Yeah, so that's where your
And
money
now-
is.
Yeah, but it's great. Eventually, I was hoping like we might even get Jimmy and Jay. Could be a short program before they reconcile, but it could happen.
I think that
That might actually happen. I bet that might happen in the Elimination Chamber.
if you had if this was back in the Crockett days, let's say,
Mhm.
and it was Sammy and Jay Uso,
Yeah.
those guys would have a blood feud
Oh, for
all
sure.
over the place. And
Yeah.
I think that you can get that emotion still, like
Mhm.
you know, Jimmy and Jay are like, I loved you, man. You were our brother. Sammy's like, you've treated me like shit. I was there. You know what I mean? I think the
Yeah.
emotion is fantastic there.
So we're talking the Usos. We're talking the Usos, and we're talking versus Steen and Generic, or
Same shit.
Sammy and Kevin. We're talking about Roman's over there with Cody.
Mhm.
Are we doing anything with Solo? What do you with Solo at WrestleMania?
Gunther?
Doesn't really make sense.
No,
but-
I just think it'd be a really good match.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put I'd just have Solo.
just
beat Roman.
Solo being the hype man.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
Solo's role is so perfect. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He's just so protected, and
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would do anything with him.
You know, I think you put Solo with the Usos because the wise man is far too busy with
Yeah, I like
with Roman to be out
and
there.
he'll have Heyman, right?
Right? Well, that's what I mean. Heyman can't be with the Usos.
Yeah.
He's far too busy with Roman.
Yeah.
Roman, so you put out Uso.
Yeah, I like
you,
that.
You put out Solo, right?
I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
I
think,
rest of the Rumble.
I think in 2 weeks we should do a WrestleMania prediction card.
Cool.
And
I'm
start
down.
working on it.
The rest of the Rumble, the stupid Mountain Dew match was what it was. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it for what it was. We got some cool spots in it. We got some cool visuals. I really like Eli Drake, so I enjoy what he's doing. I'm confused by the storyline. I don't know where they're going with this bullshit, but it is what it is. I hate it. I'm calling it stupid just because I hate the corporate sponsorship behind it. Constantly calling it the Mountain Dew bitch back match. Fuck off with that shit.
It's smart business.
I hate it. I hate it. But the match was okay. Alexia and Bianca is probably the worst women's title match I've seen in a few years.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Where do you go with Bianca at WrestleMania now?
Unfortunate how bad that was. Well, because Rhea has officially chosen Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. She wants to get her win back.
Yeah.
So I get it. What do you do with Bianca? They better not turn Becky heel again.
Yeah, we've seen that already enough times.
Exactly.
Go Ronda, maybe?
You can go Ronda. You can go Becky or Bailey.
They just did
Maybe,
Bailey
but
forever.
they just did Bailey. You could turn a Mandy
Who?
or not Mandy.
Liv?
Liv.
Liv's already. Oh, yeah, you can turn it.
You can turn Liv.
Nah.
You could bring somebody up. She already you know, for my money, it's Raquel. I think Raquel was a star in that fucking Rumble.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Bianca and Raquel.
I would. I'd go Ronda. I like Bianca and Ronda. Oh, nipples on the show.
Nipples.
I have nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, that's it for Rumble. I want to talk about some tag teams.
I don't. I hate my list this week. I'm doing the top 7 most underrated tag teams of all
You know
time.
who was a really underrated podcast name? Me and Danny Franchise when we worked for this company.
Well, I mean, Wrestle Media, hell of a company.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. All right. I'm gonna jump right into this. This was the hard list. My criteria, I don't know if I even like my criteria anymore. You're not gonna see teams on my list like I'm gonna give one right now, the Killer Bees.
Yeah.
And
that was my number one.
And
that was my number one.
The reason why they're not on my list is because I think that history remembers them where they should be.
And I don't agree, but
I think they were a great mid-card tag team, and that's how they're remembered.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't do anything like my number 7, for instance.
They didn't exactly move the needle. I'll agree with that.
But they were a great hand. But they are remembered much better.
I have these memories of them, but like I was a fan of them.
Yeah, I love
I was cheering for them, like instead of the Power Foundation.
Well, you better because they were faces. And
that's
heels.
it, right? But oh man, hey, that didn't stop me from cheering Roddy.
That's fair. And sweet shirt, Alan Angels had the Piper shirt.
Oh, that was awesome. I found that, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
You get it?
Not yet.
You will. All right. Here we go. Number 7.
Underrated tag teams.
I'm going with a former 4-time Raw Tag Team Champion and 1-time SmackDown Tag Team Champion.
Okay.
The Bar.
Good call. Didn't make my list, didn't even consider them for my list, and I'm kicking myself for it. 100% they're underrated.
I was in the shower this morning.
They're underrated.
I was in the shower this morning.
Fuck you, Danny, because they are.
Yeah, they are.
Danny hated them.
Well, that's why Danny sucks.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Sheamus and Cesaro were, man, they were everything. They were a great team together. They looked great together. They were over. I don't think the company knew how over they were.
I love how they got together because they were fighting each other in that best of 7 series and then became a tag team. And then all of a sudden they became a tag team. Though they were dressed in the same, the entrances were great. They had amazing matches with everybody. The Usos, with Rollins and Ambrose.
The initial tagline, we don't set the bar.
We are
the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly it all came together. They would come out that entrance when they were back to back and doing this, and they would slowly start to dress alike. It was everything fit. Their music fit them so well.
Yep.
I loved every part of that tag team, man. I don't think they were very short-lived if you think about it.
Yeah, they were a lot longer than you think. I think they were 2 or 3 years.
Not long enough.
I mean, that's pretty long for tag teams these days.
I guess.
I was in the shower this morning thinking about this list, and I put 4 names in my head. I was like, gotta put these on my list, and the Bar was one of them. And I got out of the shower and I wrote down 3 of the names and couldn't remember the 4th one, which was the Bar. And I was like, fuck. And I was talking to our good friend of the show, Mr. Anthony Cerulli, today. I sent him a message. I was like, what do you think of these? These are my things that I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you should put the Bar on there. And I was like, oh, I was trying to think of that for hours. And it saved me. So thank you, Anthony.
Well, the only reason, you know why Anthony likes the Bar? Because they were never in a Hell in a Cell match in 1997.
Yeah, suck it, Anthony. Number 6. Number 6 is a team that I think everybody has already forgotten about because of what one member of the team has done since then already. And I'm going to Impact Wrestling and the longest reigning Impact Wrestling tag team champions of all time, the North. I don't think people even remember how good they were because
Yeah.
of what Josh is doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Impact diehard and you say who's the best tag team of the last 10 years, I think a lot of people will say the North, but I think a lot of people are going to forget about them as well.
Yeah, I think they get slept on in the mainstream of like the big stream of wrestling.
And that's a hard one for me because everybody knows I am not a fan of Ethan Page. Julian can suck all the cocks, but I always give credit where credit is due. And the North brought back this grandeur to the tagging division in Impact when it was kind of floundering, and they brought that back. And look at Josh now. He's both the longest reigning world champion and longest reigning tag team champion in
They
history.
had great matches with LAX and the Rascals and like pretty much anybody that they got in the ring with. They had a great match.
And I have a feeling
Machine Gun.
And I have a feeling like I'm so glad that Josh is succeeding as much as he is as a singles, because they keep trying to push Ethan as this tag guy, and I don't think it's working. Him and Hardy are garbage.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's not great. But yeah, I don't know. Like I had them on my list. I had them off my list. I had them on my list. I had them off my list. But
I'd switch them with the bar if this was me. If this
that's
was me,
fair.
I think they're a good 7 spot.
Yeah. I actually do agree with that as well.
But I do agree they have a place on this list.
My number 5, I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure if I agree right now either. This is the one that it's controversial to me, but when I take a look at everything that these guys have done, I don't think that they're going to be remembered as fondly as they should be.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers.
I think it's far too early to call them underrated. I like right now with their career, I don't think they're underrated.
I mean,
I think they're thought of and remembered exactly where they should be. They're on no lists for me. I like them both, and I think they're a great team. Are they a fucking top 50 tag team for me? No, but they're not.
I think they're a top 50 tag team 100%.
Okay.
But a lot of names that are on this list might not be because they're underrated.
Yeah.
If you look at their stats, 3-time Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, 3-time IWGP Tag Team Champions, 2013 World Tag League Champion, 2-time WWE Tag Team Champion.
So why do you think that they're not remembered the way they should be?
I think people are going to remember the Morris Comedy Act.
And is it because the majority of their success was in Japan?
Yeah, I think that.
What I mean?
I think that's going to have a big part with it. But I mean, even if you take a step back, the Bullet Club, they were a huge part of the Bullet Club. And again, I think the Young Bucks are going to take that over the Good Brothers. But Carl Anderson's a founding father of the Bullet Club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are going to get caught up in the Gallows silliness and the Anderson silliness and not remember
talking Shopomania kind of
right. And
did that for them.
But you know what? That's another thing that you could even give them an accolade for is because they did something incredible there.
What, getting Rory Fox back on the map?
Love Rory Fox. I just think that like people are going to remember like Nerd and all their funny stuff.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back and actually look at their body of work as a tag team, I don't think it's going to be remembered as fondly as it should be.
Okay.
Maybe they should be in the 7th spot as well. But they're my
I
controversial.
can see what else you have on your list. Because I have a few teams that I feel like you're going to leave off that I think I would definitely put over the Good Brothers.
My number 4 was originally my number 1, 2, and 3, and I just kept moving. And I think you're going to give me some heat for the placement here too. I'm going with Owen Hart and the British Bulldog.
Oh.
One run as a tag team champions, but that one run went 246 days. 13 longest. Yeah. When you talk about greatest tag teams of all time, nobody ever talks about Bulldog.
I do,
but nobody else does. They have us forgotten.
Anybody who grew up in that time knows Camp Cornette, watched Camp Cornette. I don't know if I consider them to be underrated.
I never think of Owen and Bulldog when I think of great tag teams.
I do.
And
Because
I
they were
should.
because they were one of my favorite tag teams in the 90s.
And mine too, but they get lost in the shuffle for me. They get lost with the New Days and the
I
Demolitions.
gotta sit on this one. I gotta think about this one because I don't know if I consider them to be underrated.
Yeah, eh?
I think they're respected for where they are. Definitely both men as solo competitors are,
Mhm.
and I feel that they must be as a tag team. But I don't know. You might be right. Maybe it's just my fandom.
I think it's a little bit of your
Yeah.
fandom because I think when you talk about greatest tag teams in WWE history, what's the names that come up? Hardy Boys,
Yeah.
Edge, Christian,
Yeah.
Dudley Boys,
I mean,
New Day,
they're I mean,
Demolition.
well, because they're not those teams. I mean, let's be honest. Just because I'm saying that they're not underrated doesn't mean I'm going to put them on par with your Dudleys, with
No.
your Road Warriors.
But how many tag teams do you name before you get to Owen and the Bulldog?
More than 7.
Right?
But
If you look at their run was so good. Their
goddamn
little
right, it was good.
feud that they had,
Yeah.
Owen always jumping in front of the Bulldog.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think that these guys
Okay.
need some more love. I think they need some more
What's
love.
this, number 4?
Number 4.
Oh, let me sit on this one.
Number 3, going back to Impact Wrestling,
Okay.
TNA Wrestling, if you will, America's Most Wanted.
Okay. I'm so happy. I have them on my list too, and I wasn't sure if you were going to consider them to be underrated. I definitely think they're underrated.
6 times they were the NWA Tag Team Champions.
Mhm.
They were the WWC Tag Team Champions in Puerto Rico as well,
Mhm.
which that goes a long way for me when you get
Yeah.
across the globe to
100%.
different places. That's a big reason the Good Brothers
And that
made
was
my list.
and that was before you did that. You know, this
Mhm.
before, you had the Motor City Machine Guns being Impact and New Japan
Mhm.
Tag Team Champions. Before you had Carl Anderson being Never, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't do that before.
I think it's safe to say too that along with AJ Styles, America's Most Wanted were the faces of that company for a
Agreed.
long time.
Agreed.
Classic matches with Triple X.
Yep.
Even like great matches with weird teams like Red Shirt Security. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
right?
mean? There's some
Yeah.
deep cuts that they have there. But they were involved with all the big stars. Dusty Rhodes worked with them a lot.
Mhm.
Vader, like all these, the Road Warriors, like all
Yeah.
these guys, they worked with the Rock and Roll Express. They don't get the love that they should get.
Chris Harris was one of the first big stars we ever got on this show.
Mm-hmm. He was a damn good interview. Check
Damn
that
right
out
he
in the
was.
archive.
Yeah, and it made your top 3, and that makes me even happier. Yeah, they were on my list as well. I'm so happy because I didn't think you would. I thought you were going to argue with me on this one because they are, when you really break it down, people do. Oh yeah, they are one of the greatest tag teams
They really are.
in Impact history. But do people say that right away?
No, they always go to beer money.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
I don't know how you're going to feel if my number 2 is underrated or not, but I think that they are. And now that they're not really teaming together as much anymore, I think that they deserve more recognition than what they get. And I'm going with the American Wolves.
Yeah.
I'm going with Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, former 2-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, 5-time TNA Tag Team Champions, and their singles accolades in between all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Both men former Ring of Honor World Champions.
I'm not sure that they're my number 2, but do they belong in this conversation? 100% they do.
They were not originally my number 2, and then I started looking at their body of work.
Yeah.
Feuds in Ring of Honor with Steen and Generico.
Yes.
Were amazing.
Yeah.
They did the great trilogy with the Hardys and the Dudleys, and
you and I had a discussion earlier tonight about Red Dragon. They had great matches with Red Dragon.
Right. The body of in-ring work, they have so many forgotten good matches. And I think that's what it is.
It was really nice to earlier this year, earlier in 22, to see Davey Richards come back to get in the ring with during that multi-man match on the other side of Eddie. It was a cool little throwback to anybody who watched ROH, you know what I mean? I liked that.
Before I reveal my number 1, I have a question for you. And I want to know, because they're not on my list, because I think that they get the respect they deserve. I think it should be more.
Yeah.
Do people call the Briscoe brothers underrated?
They wouldn't have made my list. I truly think they get their respect. Nobody sleeps on the Briscoes.
I think that people talk about them in a top 15 tag team, right?
I think people talk about them as the best tag team to not wrestle in WWE. I think that comes up a lot. I'm a little pissed right now because you and I discussed a tag team earlier this week that I have had not heard you talk about yet, and I'm really afraid you're still not going to talk about them. And I'm questioning your entire fucking list if we don't talk about this team right now.
What, Harlem Heat?
Fucking you so hard.
My number one, I think, is going to surprise you. They're former 3-time WWF Tag Team Champions.
Mm-hmm.
They are the 6th longest combined champions in the history of the company, about 411 days.
Okay.
And I'm talking about Money Incorporated. I think Money Inc. is one of the best tag teams that WWF has ever put out.
No.
And they were main event players, and it was the perfect way to use a veteran like DiBiase.
I'll put
Mega Heat.
Listen, you want to talk about Rotunda? Cool. Let's talk about Can-Am. But I'm not fucking.
I don't think Money Inc. gets talked about ever.
No.
Nobody ever talks about Money Incorporated.
No.
These guys were amazing.
There's a reason for that.
You didn't like Money Inc.?
No.
Oh, I love Money Inc.
I'm not gonna say I didn't like them. But I think I respected them for what they did. I think they were a great.
They were main eventers, man.
Uh,
Main event at WrestleMania 9. One of the main events at WrestleMania 9.
I don't think they belong on this list.
I think that nobody talks about Money Inc. They had fantastic matches with the LOD, with the Steiner brothers. Not the Natural Disasters. They were terrible, but I love Money Inc. I don't think that people.
Their WrestleMania 9 match was fucking dog shit.
But it was still a main event spot for them. And it's because Hogan, no job. You can't have a good match with Bruce Beefcake. I don't care who. But yeah, I think Money Inc. When you look back at
you can't with the Booty Man though.
No, you cannot.
Zodiac?
I don't care what he is. No, I'm sticking with Money Inc., man.
That's your number one though?
Because nobody talks about them. I think they're fantastic champions.
I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. How the fuck did you not talk about Owen and Yoko?
Because I don't think they were that great of a team. They were okay. Like, I don't think that they were underrated or overrated. They just were a tag team. They didn't have like fantastic matches.
I think they did.
I like the Smoking Guns were giving me a run to put on my list.
Smoking Guns, I think I had a hard time. I don't know if they're underrated or not because they did. I think they get overshadowed by the Outlaws.
Like Owen and Yoko, they were only together for a few months, and they didn't have really.
I'm not saying I'd put them in the number one spot. I'm just saying that
they weren't even in contention to make my list. In all honesty.
Sound like they were when we talked a couple of days ago.
And then I did my research. I really wanted to put the Eliminators on my list as well. Perry Saturn and John Kronos. Yeah. And again, like I could make this list tomorrow and have 7 totally different people on here because I wasn't happy with my list.
I have a few questions. I have a few that I'm surprised didn't get on. So I just want to know why.
I probably forgot. In all honesty,
the Quebecers.
I gave them some thought.
Okay.
I gave them some thought. They were really, really close. Same with but I was like Quebecers, Rougeos. Then I looked at a couple other teams though, and I was like, I think these teams were a little better.
Strike Force.
No.
You don't think Strike Force is underrated?
No.
Really?
They were barely together for they were like 6 months.
Okay, here's the big one though.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
The Headbangers. I think the Headbangers are extremely underrated.
They were great. They were a good team.
I think they're a great team, and I don't think they got nearly the. I don't think they get the accolades they deserve.
I don't think they're list worthy.
Okay. The APA.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. They won a lot of titles, but they were like, to me, they're more known for their backstage comedy stuff than their tag team. Like they're remembered for their bar, the APA, you know what I mean, for being the muscle, like as a tag team,
right
in the ring.
One more, and this is, I'm not saying it belongs on the list. I just want to bring it up because I think when they were a team, I think they had some great matches. So I just want to bring them up. I'm talking about the Brothers of Destruction.
I don't like the Brothers of Destruction.
No, really.
I just because I hate Biker Taker and I've never been a Kane fan.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
That's a personal thing for me. And I think that they are actually overrated as a tag team, not underrated. I
Okay.
think people talk way too highly about them.
Okay.
My opinion on that. I had some tough ones. I almost put the Nasty Boys on my list because I feel like they're just like they had really good matches. They won championships everywhere they went.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're remembered like I think they're on the cusp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Kings of Wrestling I had on my list. Claudio and Chris Hero. That almost made my list.
Okay.
I put Thought very quickly into the Orient Express, but I don't think they did enough to be underrated. I know we both aren't a huge fan of them, but Harlem Heat could use a little bit more love.
Head Shrinkers?
I didn't put Head Shrinkers, no. SCU, or more so Danielson and Kazarian, I put some thought into.
In the same vein, do you even consider Triple X?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought about Triple X as well. I just think that America's Most Wanted deserve that spot more.
Samoan SWAT machine, Samoan SWAT team.
No, I didn't go with them. I thought about maybe Gordy and Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, but I feel like they're respected pretty well.
Yeah.
You know what's a weird one? And they're not underrated.
Ooh.
They're not underrated, but I think that people don't put them up high enough. Is the Steiner brothers?
We had this discussion earlier today. I think if your team's in the Hall of Fame, you've been recognized.
No, I get that, but I mean, I'm talking about like how fans look at them. Like,
okay, well, keep that in mind when I bring up this with this team, because I think this should have been your number one. This team, the people like you and I, they're not overrated. They're not underrated because we think of them as one of the best. I don't know if your casual fan does. I know your casual fan doesn't, and I don't even know if your other fans think of them right away. I'm talking about the Brainbusters. I think the Brainbusters are criminally underrated because
that's a hard one.
Because when you think of Tully and Arn, first of all, when you think of Arn, you think of the Andersons, right? You don't think of Tully and Arn right away. You think of the Andersons. That's it. And I love Tully and Arn all day long. For me, Tully and Arn greater than Arn and Ole.
Yeah,
all day long.
I'm with you on that.
All day long. But people think of the Horsemen first. You know, and that's what people think of. I think Tully and Arn had way better chemistry. I think they had a lot of better matches. Sure, they were kind of pushed down by the WWF machine at the time, but they
I don't know, they had a good run.
They did have a really good run.
That's hard. I don't know if they're underrated.
I'm calling them underrated. I'm calling them criminally underrated.
I don't know if it's just my fandom for them that because I just respect them so much, but I mean, if I'm going to take a step back out of how I view them, then maybe they should be number one.
I think so.
All right, fuck off, Money Inc. You're out. I'll take you right off the list. I'm not bumping anybody else off. All right, Brainbusters, you're in. Just because anytime I can put over the greatest horseman of all time, Arn Anderson, I will.
I hate you.
Hate is a strong word.
Horrible person.
I am a horrible person. And I did a pretty horrible list this week. So
I'm not going to give you too much shit.
It was okay. Yeah. It wasn't my best work. I struggled with my criteria, and I'm going to redo this list at some point.
I mean, if Emilio was here, he'd be shitting all over it.
Well, I mean, he also shits on us for being Bengals fans.
But that's because Kane wasn't on the list.
Fuck Kane. Although he would be on my future list that I am working on.
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe I should just make February my tag team month.
I love that.
All right,
tag team month.
I'll do another tag team list next week.
I mean,
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Day, tag team. You know, I like it.
You know what
We'll do a spotlight on Billy and Chuck.
You know what I'm really excited about actually, because we have Andrew coming on next week. That means I don't have to do a list, and then it's your list after that. I'm like 3 weeks out. I'm off the hook, buddy. I'm on vacation.
Well. Your list wasn't horrible.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible, but
it wasn't 150 episodes worth.
But
Beer Money I put on my list as well.
Here's my gift to you. Take a few weeks off.
Yeah.
Put together a list better than that. Have it be a tag team list. I like this. Tag team month.
I'm gonna do a list that I've been working on for a long time, and it's going to be the best tag team wrestlers.
Which is another challenge from me.
Yes, it is.
This was like a year in the making here. A very long time ago, I told you that you should make this list.
Yes, I will do that. I've made most of the list, so it's going to be the best people that do tag teams. So, like for instance,
the best single guy. So somebody who could be let's talk about Shawn Michaels for a second. Shawn Michaels, who was in the Rockers, who held tag team championships with Steve Austin, and does he make your list? Who knows? But that's the criteria we take to get on that list, right?
Whoever finds their way in multiple successful tag teams.
So does it have to be? Does it have to be in multiple tag teams, or does somebody like Ricky Morton can he make that list because he's been in a successful tag team for 50 years?
Well, no, then my list would just be Hawk, Animal, Ricky Martin. These guys got to have been in more than one successful tag team.
Very good.
So a guy like, let's say, Chuck Palumbo.
Yeah.
He was a Palumbo and O'Hare, Billy and Chuck,
Mm-hmm.
Edge, Christian. Like these guys, Edge and Christian could be on the list because they were Edge and Christian. They were Christian and Jericho. They were, you know what I mean? Like they're
Edge and Hogan.
Edge and Hogan. There's a lot of Edge and Jericho, Edge and Orton.
Edge and Orton.
Right? There's a lot of success outside of just that one base tag team. So that's what we're going with. But that's not until
that's a few weeks away.
You guys have fun next week.
Next week, Andrew will be on. We'll be doing Andrew's. I'm off next week too. Andrew's doing the list. This is fantastic. We will be together promoting GCW's debut in Toronto coming up in March. And Andrew will be counting down his top 7, the top 7 best GCW wrestlers.
Sweet,
which is a great list. I like it.
Yeah, well, let's sign off for our gang then.
Please.
See what I did there?
I like
Nick
it.
Gage.
Fucking
day.
Fucking hate you. Do us a big favor right down there if you're on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it already. Tell your friends to do it. We need it so bad. I've got so many plans, so many things I want to do, and we can't do it till we hit a certain number of subscriptions. Please help out this podcast get bigger and bigger and bigger. Help us get to where we want to be. We need those numbers. Hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on any other of the apps, be it Spotify, iTunes, whatever, give us a 5-star rating and give us some comments. And as of today, this is the first show ever you get to hear on the iHeartRadio app. We are officially on iHeartRadio, which is very quickly becoming the biggest app for podcasts. So we're very excited to be on there.
And I love that we're on that. Let's go.
Andrew, you cannot get on the show fast enough.
Let's go.
Check out Barry Wrestling, and hopefully by the time you listen to this, very possibly Destiny Wrestling on IWTV.
I got to do some spots at the last Barry show. It was pretty cool.
Did. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Just to laugh.
I'm a natural.
Yeah. Hope you kept your eyes to yourself.
Easy.
So yeah, check out IWTV for all our friends. Keep your eyes peeled for tickets for Destiny Wrestling and Barry Wrestling, both doing shows in February.
Yeah, Josh Alexander and Barry.
Absolutely. Josh Alexander and Barry, Devon Dudley and Mississauga. You can't go fucking wrong.
Right.
March is going to be a great month. February will be a little dry, not a whole lot of wrestling happening.
Jimmy Hart, Jack Evans.
That's in February.
There you go. 17th.
Space Monkey,
Jody Threat.
Yeah, beautiful show. Oh, Jimmy Lloyd, yeah,
big show.
Liking that show.
Jimmy Hart, Jimmy Lloyd,
absolutely.
Jack Evans,
Jimmy
Lloyd, Joey Janela. Take us home. I'm done. I can't keep being awesome anymore.
On behalf of an extremely tired Tyler Wolf, my underrated tag team partner, we have been counted out.
Cheers.